Welcome to Hollywood Graveyard, where we set out to remember and celebrate the lives of those who lived to entertain us by visiting their final resting places. Today we're exploring Hillside Memorial Park, where we'll find such stars as Jolson, Dinah Shore, Leonard Nimoy, and many more. Join us, won't you? Hillside Memorial Park is a Jewish cemetery located in Culver City, California, just a few miles southwest of Hollywood. It was founded in 1941 and in 1957 was acquired by Temple Israel of Hollywood and has serviced Hollywood's Jewish community ever since. It features beautiful works of art from Jewish tradition and culture. Note that this cemetery is closed on Saturday in observance of Shabbat. Hillside is a medium-sized cemetery, so we'll be covering it in two parts. For this first part, we'll be visiting the main mausoleum and the surrounding areas. We'll begin our tour at Hillside's most iconic monument, visible right from the 405 freeway. This cascading waterfall and 75-foot marble pillar monument memorializes one of the world's most legendary entertainers, Jolson. He was a singer, stage and film actor, and comedian, dubbed in his day as the world's greatest entertainer. He captivated audiences with his performances on Broadway stages, becoming a rock star before the age of rock, and was the king of Broadway for decades. By the late 20s, Hollywood came calling, and in 1927, Jolson starred in Hollywood's first feature-length talkie, The Jazz Singer, ushering in the sound era.
Mommy, Mommy. My little Mary.
Jolson often performed in blackface, certainly inappropriate and controversial by today's standards. But before you decry him as a racist, let us understand the era and the context. As a Jewish man, Jolson fought against cultural discrimination in the early 20th century, particularly discrimination against African Americans. He used his blackface persona to ridicule the prevalent idea of white supremacy. And in an era when blacks were not allowed to perform in most venues, Jolson helped introduce black music like jazz and blues to white audiences, breaking down the barrier of white-only and black-only entertainment, essentially bridging a long-standing cultural gap in America. He even helped promote and demand equal treatment for black entertainers of the era like playwright Garland Anderson and Cab Calloway. Jolson was a man who had his flaws, like all of us, but he was no racist. In fact, this very monument was designed by renowned African-American architect, Paul R. Williams. Let's make our way up to the mausoleum. On the lawn to the right, next to the road, is actress Suzanne Pleshette. She can be seen in films like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but is perhaps best remembered for her role as Emily Hartley on The Bob Newhart Show, a role that earned her 2 Emmy nominations. Nearby on this lawn is Suzanne's husband, comedic television actor Tom Poston. He started his career in the 1950s, appearing on variety shows like The Steve Allen Show, a recurring role that earned him an Emmy. His career spanned the decades that followed, often starring alongside friend and fellow comedian Bob Newhart. He was nominated for 3 more Emmys for his role on Newhart, and had guest roles on popular comedies of the 20th century, including Home Improvement and Murphy Brown. He was also a frequent panelist on To Tell the Truth. Just before the entrance of the mausoleum, on the left, is the tomb of producer Mark Goodson. He is remembered for having created and produced some of the greatest and most popular game shows of the 50s to the 80s, including Match Game, To Tell the Truth, What's My Line, Family Feud, and The Price is Right. His marker is inspired by his company logo. Heading into the mausoleum, then immediately back out to the courtyard, we find the crypt of David Janssen low on the left wall. He was an actor, best remembered for his portrayal of Dr. Richard Kimball in the 60s TV series The Fugitive. He had starring roles in many other TV series of the era, including Richard Diamond, Private Detective, and Harry O. In 1996, he was ranked number 36 on TV Guide's list of greatest TV stars. He died of a heart attack at the age of 48. Several spaces above Janssen is George Jessel. Like many of his era, Jessel began entertaining on stage in vaudeville. In 1925, he originated the lead role in the Broadway production of The Jazz Singer, a role that quickly made him a leading man. He was set to reprise the role on screen in 1927, but when negotiations fell through, the role went to Jolson. He acted in over 30 film and television productions in his career and became a prominent producer of musicals in the 40s and 50s. He was known as the Toastmaster General for his frequent role as Master of Ceremonies at political and entertainment events. From the courtyard, we head to the corridor to the south. On the far left is Michael Landon. He was one of the great television actors known for playing wholesome, down-to-earth characters like Charles Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. He also played Little Joe Cartwright on Bonanza and Jonathan Smith on Highway to Heaven. He appeared on the cover of TV Guide more than any other actor, except Lucille Ball. Across from Landon, back in the mausoleum on the left, is Eydie Cantor, another of the all-around great entertainers of the 20th century. He was a musician, actor, dancer, and comedian, starting in vaudeville and moving on to Broadway, radio, and television. He turned down the role for the lead in The Jazz Singer, but his role in the 1930 film Whoopee made him a star. He was a regular on TV and radio throughout the 30s, 40s, and 50s. He also co-wrote the tune Merrily We Roll Along, the theme for the Warner Brothers' Merry Melodies cartoons. Further in the mausoleum, on the left, is the large black tomb of Jack Benny, one of Hollywood's most legendary comedians. He could elicit laughter from a mere sideways glance alone. He was that good. A staple on stage, radio, and television through the first half of the 20th century, Jack Benny is widely considered one of America's greatest entertainers. His miserly persona, poor violin playing, and perpetual age of 39 were just a few of the running gags that made his characters so beloved to audiences. After more than 15 years on the radio, the Jack Benny program ran on television from 1950 to 1965 and set the standard for television comedy for years to come.
Now, this is the ordinary, inexpensive violin that I use just on my television shows. And this is the $30,000 Stradivarius that I use in my concerts. And I'm going to show you why this is worth every dollar that I paid for it. Now first, listen to this cheap one. This is the cheap one, just listen to it. Now, here is my Stradivarius. And I want you to listen to the difference. No substitute for quality.
Jack is entombed with his wife Mary, who starred alongside him on his radio and television programs. Down the hall and on the first right, on the far wall, is the niche of Allan Sherman. He was a comedy writer and song parodist, best remembered for his hit single, Hello Mudda, Hello Fadda.
Hello, Mudda. Hello, Fadda. Here I am at Camp Granada. Camp is very entertaining, and they say we'll have some fun if it stops raining.
He also voiced the Cat in the Hat in the 70s cartoon. Back the way we came, we head up to the second level. On the wall just opposite the stairs, above eye level, is the crypt of Jeff Chandler. He was one of Universal's most popular actors during the 50s, seen in action and Western films like Broken Arrow. His role as Cochise earned him an Academy Award nomination. He was also a talented singer, releasing several albums in his career. He died at just 42 after complications from back surgery. Back downstairs and outside, we follow the wall on the right and find the crypt of Max Factor Sr. He was the founder of the cosmetics company Max Factor. He was instrumental in developing the modern cosmetics industry and even popularized the use of the term makeup as a noun. He headed to Los Angeles when he saw an opportunity to provide wigs and cosmetics to the budding film industry. By the 19-teens, Max Factor had become the ultimate authority in cosmetics for filmmaking. During those early years, he personally applied his cosmetics to the biggest names in Hollywood, including Mary Pickford, Clara Bow, Gloria Swanson, Jean Harlow, Bette Davis, and more, always able to make up each actor to be shown in the best possible light on screen. After his death, he was entombed at Hollywood Forever, but when that cemetery fell into disrepair, his remains were moved here. His son, Max Factor Jr., carried on the family business and is entombed 2 spaces away. Further along this wall, below eye level, is Dinah Shore. She was an actress and one of the most prominent female vocalists of the big band era. Among her many popular recordings is the holiday classic, Baby It's Cold Outside.
Your hair looks swell.
I ought to say no, no, no,
Mind
sir.
if I move in closer?
At least I'm gonna say that I tried.
What's the sense in hurting my pride?
I really can't
oh,
stay.
baby, don't hold out.
Oh,
Baby,
but
it's cold outside.
Later in her career, she became a television personality, hosting her own variety shows, The Dinah Shore Show in the 60s and Dinah in the 70s. After her death in 1994, a portion of her cremated remains were entombed here, another portion at Forest Lawn in Cathedral City, and the remainder rest with relatives. Just past the door on this same wall is the crypt of Eydie Gorme. She was a popular big band singer in the 50s and 60s with hits like Blame It on Bossa Nova.
Blame it on the bossa nova with its magic spell. Blame it on the bossa nova that he did so well. Oh, it all began with just one little dance, but soon it ended up a big romance. Blame it on the bossa nova, the dance of love.
She often sang duet with her husband, Steve Lawrence, and also successfully crossed over into the Latin music market with a series of albums in Spanish. She earned several awards in her career, including a Grammy and an Emmy. On the lawn just behind us is the grave of Lorne Greene. He was an actor, best remembered for his long-running role as Ben Cartwright on TV's Bonanza, a role which earned him a Golden Globe nomination.
We chased Lady Luck till we finally struck Bonanza. With a gun and a rope and a hat full of hope, we planted our family tree. We got a hold of a pot full of gold Bonanza. With a horse and a saddle and a ring full of cattle, how rich could a fella be?
He also starred as Commander Adama on the original Battlestar Galactica. A few spaces right is Sheldon Leonard. He produced many of the popular television shows in the 60s, including The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Andy Griffith Show, and Make Room for Daddy, which earned him 2 Emmys. Earlier in his career, he could be seen in front of the camera, playing tough guys in films like Guys and Dolls. His name served as the namesake for the characters Sheldon and Leonard on The Big Bang Theory. Heading around to the garden north, just past the bridge, on the right, we find Leonard Nimoy. He is most famous for his portrayal of Spock on the original Star Trek TV series and subsequent Star Trek films. Mr. Spock was named by TV Guide as one of the 50 greatest TV characters, and Nimoy's portrayal earned him 3 Emmy Award nominations.
She really like those ears?
Captain, the Horta is a remarkably intelligent and sensitive creature with impeccable taste.
Because she approved of you.
Really, Captain, my modesty.
Does not bear close examination, Mr. Spock. I suspect you're becoming more and more human all the time.
Captain, I see no reason to stand here and be insulted.
Nimoy devised the Vulcan salute, which was inspired by a Jewish blessing gesture seen here on his marker. Famous for the catchphrase, "Live long and prosper," Leonard Nimoy did just that, living to the age of 83. In 2016, a documentary was made about the life of Nimoy, directed by his son, Adam. Continuing down this sidewalk, on the lawn to the left, we find the grave of Theodore Bikel. He was a musician and actor of both stage and screen. He originated the role of Captain Von Trapp in the original Broadway production of The Sound of Music, a role which earned him a Tony nomination. In fact, the song Edelweiss was written specifically for Bikel to sing and perform.
Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me.
He also played Tevye in The Fiddler on the Roof in over 2,000 performances, more than just about any other actor except Topol. On screen, he can be seen in films like My Fair Lady, The African Queen, and The Defiant Ones, which earned him an Oscar nomination. He also had many guest appearances on TV shows like All in the Family and The Twilight Zone. Further along this sidewalk is the grand monument to Hollywood producer Jerry Weintraub. He began his career as a manager and concert promoter for performers like John Denver, Frank Sinatra, Bob Dylan, and more. He went on to become a producer for film and television. Some of his notable productions include Oh God, The Karate Kid, and the Ocean's 11 films. More recently, he produced the HBO series Westworld. He won 3 Emmys in his career. Finally, we head around to the north and back inside the mausoleum. Just inside this entrance is the tomb of Aaron Spelling. He was one of the most prolific TV producers in Hollywood history, having produced a number of successful and iconic television shows, including Melrose Place, Seventh Heaven, Charlie's Angels, Charmed, and Beverly Hills 90210, which featured his daughter, Tori. And that concludes our tour. What are some of your favorite memories of the stars we visited today? Share them in the comments below, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more famous grave tours. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. I'm just sitting here editing the next Hillside video, and I had a thought. Why don't you guys choose the next cemetery that we visit? We've hit a lot of the big ones here in LA, but there's still a lot more to see. So let's do this. I'll create a poll and post it on my Patreon page. Head over there and cast your vote for the cemetery you'd like to see next. The cemetery with the most votes will be our next tour. And Halloween's just over a week away, so don't forget to get your copy of my book, Zombie Jr., while it's still on sale. Hope you all have a wonderfully spooky Halloween, and I can't wait to see where we're headed next.